This meeting is being recorded.
Hi, Easton. It's Kristine Ullman, the Youth Services Librarian at the Easton Public Library. Thanks for coming to join us today on Easton Library Community Book Chat. And today we are joined by a face that I think probably a lot of people in town know. We are joined by Michael Brownstein, who is the assistant principal at Samuel Staples Elementary School. Michael, nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Kristine, and nice to see you, town of Easton, on
Yeah.
this beautiful Wednesday.
Isn't it beautiful?
Certainly is.
Michael, looking back, I think you were one of the very first people I met in Easton.
Is that right?
Because we came to the school for a tour right before we moved here, because Lincoln was going to be in second grade and we wanted to make sure he felt comfortable and knew the school. And I remember we met you that day.
Did I give the tour? I give a lot of tours. I forget sometimes.
I feel like Mrs. Fox Santora gave the tour, but I know we did meet you.
Yeah. It's been a while then, because Link is going into probably into college now.
He's going to be going to college in the fall. It's been a long time, second grade.
Second grade, yeah.
Yeah, but I remember that day very clearly because, and I think maybe other parents have had the same feeling. I just felt like, okay, this is going to be a good place for us. That school and you guys there are just, it's such an inviting, like comforting feeling over there. And yeah, I remember even, he was a little apprehensive because he'd come from, kindergarten and first grade at another school and he was going to have to start over. And like we walked out of there, he felt great.
Oh, good. Well, that's really nice to hear, because that's exactly what we're going for.
Yeah, well, you guys
feel welcome and comfortable. Yeah,
you definitely achieve that every day. It's such a great place. And good. I think that, so many kids are so happy there. So it's wonderful. I see kids here in the library every day, and I ask them, what grade are you in? And they'll say, whichever elementary school grade. And I say, who's your teacher? And then I go, are they nice or do you like them? And I always get a resounding yes. I never hesitation, never like, well, they always love it.
It's a really nice community. It's a nice place to work, and everyone is all about the kids. So, that's what it's all about.
It really is.
And I would add that, I've enjoyed our partnership over the years, getting kids involved in reading and excited about reading, and participating in the activities that you offer at the library, I think are wonderful. So I'm happy to be here today talking to you about books and the town of Easton.
I am too. Those are good things. Is anything new over at SSES these days, or pretty much the status quo?
Pretty much the status quo. I would say this year has been much more of a return to normal, which is really nice. And normal means the status quo to me, which feels good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How long have you been the assistant principal over at SSES?
This is my 11th year, which is amazing to me. Blink of an eye. Yeah,
that's good. That's a nice run.
Yeah, that's pretty much, a grade of students going from kindergarten all the way through high school at this point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're there.
Thank you.
So the book that you chose that we're going to chat about today, and our copy is not in my hand right now, so I have just a photocopy. Oh, it's a classic. Horton Hears a Who by Dr. Seuss. It's a great choice. Tell us a little bit about why you chose this book.
Yeah, so it is a classic, and I've been reading this to my classes. I was a fourth grade teacher for 11 years, a fifth grade teacher for 4 years, a computer teacher for 4 years, and now administrator for 11 years. And I've been reading this book every year to my classes. I don't even know for how long, including my classes. I've read it to every class of fifth graders at Samuel Staples up until COVID. COVID kind of put a kibosh on my tradition, my yearly tradition of reading Horton Hears a Who. And that hasn't returned to normal yet, but I'll have to get on that because it is, I think, a profound and important story, particularly for fourth and fifth graders. You know, often my students would be a little bit like, "You're going to read us a Dr. Seuss book?" because they're getting a little old for it. But actually, Dr. Seuss wrote a number of books targeted really, I think, for that age group, and this is one of them. And I always enjoyed it because a lot of kids were familiar with the movie, which I've never watched, or they had read the story, but when they were much younger, because it's a Dr. Seuss book, and hearing it again, I think, you know, with a few years of age and wisdom, they were able to appreciate it on a whole different level, I think, you know, beyond the rhymes and beyond, you know, some of the silly kind of parts of Dr. Seuss. There's a really important story here, or message here. So yeah, that's kind of, when you asked me about this, that was the book that came to my mind, because it's been a long running tradition for me. I also noticed, just kind of getting ready for today and looking through the book again, something I'd never noticed before. And you know, you say it's a classic, because I grew up, and I imagine you did too, reading Dr. Seuss books or having Dr. Seuss books read to us when we were really young. But this book was actually only written in 1982.
Oh, no
which
kidding.
is the year I graduated from high school, interestingly enough. So yes, it's a classic, and yes, it's Dr. Seuss, but it's not actually one of the earliest, I guess, Dr. Seuss books.
Yeah, that is surprising.
Yeah,
I would be at this moment flipping through the page to, you know, look for the copyright, but I have just a copy. So
right.
But that is interesting. Yeah, I think it's like a nice empowering story for kids that age, don't you think?
Yeah, there's so much there. So you know, it's a compelling story with, you know, some good tension and you know, plot twists, and there are also just these really strong characters that I think that the kids can you know, understand and really relate to, and you know, and that they can learn from. And you know, starting with obviously the character of Horton, who to me is just this you know, huge figure, being an elephant, I suppose, of kindness and compassion, you know, looking out for these beings that he can't even see. He can hear, but he can't even see, and just saying, "I'm going to take care of you," because that's who Horton is. It's his big heart, you know, and as well as, you know, some of the lesser characters. You know, I don't know if we want to go into the entire plot, but you know, there is just that idea of taking care of others. There's the idea of you know, people who follow others, you know, without really thinking for themselves, sometimes not to do kindness, but that their hearts ultimately can be changed. And you know, there's also the ideas of perseverance and determination, because Horton certainly in his you know, desire to protect the Who's, he faces a lot of challenges and doesn't give up, and you know, displays much courage, you know, in the face of what could be overwhelming odds. So it's a wonderful story that that I think, again, can be understood and enjoyed on many levels, but particularly for, you know, 9, 10, 11-year-olds, I think it's a perfect story.
Yeah, it's a really nice one. I hope you get to read it to them soon again.
You know, I always read it, would make a habit of visiting all of the fifth grade classes and it's not a short story, so
Mhm.
it would take us some time, particularly with some discussions,
Mhm.
but in the very beginning of the year.
Mhm.
But there's no and I guess that was the tradition, but there's nothing saying it can't be at any point in the year. So I think having pulled it off the shelf and taken a look at it and discussed it with you today, I might just do that.
That
Might
would be
make
nice.
make a plan to visit each of the fifth grades.
What do you like to read, Michael?
Um, I like to read fiction. I like to read nonfiction. Right now I've been reading a bunch of nonfiction, actually. I guess going along with this idea of kindness and compassion, I've been doing some studies in Buddhism and have been reading a book right now called The Buddhist Brain, which is really good by two medical doctors. But I also really enjoy reading fiction. The last fiction book I read was by Cormac McCarthy. His new book, it wasn't Stella Maris, it was the other one, The Passenger, which was amazing, really difficult, but really worth the struggle, I guess, in the end. I've read a bunch of his books. I enjoy his writing. So yeah, a little bit of everything.
Yeah, that's nice. It's nice to, I guess it's nice to have your comfort zone where I like mysteries and just, you become like the expert in mysteries, but it's also lovely to really break out of that comfort zone and try books from all different genres. It's a nice thing to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
that's great.
Yeah. And how's everything at the Easton Public Library?
You know what? We're also experiencing that return to normal. I think we've almost gotten back to what I'm going to say are like pre-COVID numbers of people back in. Our regular programs with like little kids that we have every week are really just flourishing.
Oh, good.
And yeah, it's great just to see people in and hanging out and asking for materials, and it's really great.
Yeah. I before we started recording, I was telling you, my work computer is at work since it's school vacation, and we went to the library and borrowed a Chromebook from the library.
Yeah.
And my copy of Horton Hears a Who is on the shelf above my desk. So I went to the library, and you go to the library and you give them a library card, and they give you the materials, and
Yeah.
it couldn't be a more helpful place.
It's
Truly.
great. We don't have computers to lend out here. We do have many public that people can come and use at any time. But we recently got hotspots that we lend out now, which is really
Wow.
great.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, it's such a wonderful community service that you do. So thank you for that.
Well, thanks. Mutual Admiration Society here.
Absolutely.
Well, excellent. So Horton Hears a Who is available here at the library. It is, I just had to order us a brand new copy because, books get old and they get very well loved. So that is on its way. We also have this cool one called Horton and the Quagger Bug and More Lost Stories, which are a few stories about Horton. And maybe what this is, some of the kids were familiar with, we have the movie version. So we have all kinds of Horton happening over here at the library.
Horton's happening.
He's very happening. So Michael Brownstein, I want to thank you so much for chatting with me about books today. And, thanks to all of Easton and everybody watching. And we hope to see you real soon at the Easton Public Library. Have a great day. Thank you so much, Michael.
My pleasure. Thank you.